So it occurred to me that maybe we should take a look for a minute and just see what is it that we're actually doing. What are we looking at in this unit? And what we're looking at is we are surrounded by statistics. Everywhere we look, people are like, hey, the average of this is this. The proportion of individuals who do this is that proportion. And no matter where we look, we are surrounded by people throwing numbers at us saying, hey, you need to believe these numbers, you need to believe these numbers, you need to believe these numbers, and these are the numbers that are true. But the fact is that these individuals are throwing numbers at you and they may be very well intentioned with what they're doing, but they're only giving you a small part of the picture, a very small part of the picture. And they're saying to you, hey, here is the information that I collected, here is the average from the information I collected. I'm not going to give you any other information except for the average, or I'm not going to give you any other information except for the proportion. And so I decided to find an example of this online. And so all that I did was I looked up college student stats. College student stats, and I just started to scroll down, and I was like, you know what? Let's find some college student stats. And so I clicked right here. Let's see, open link in. Let's see, open image, new tab, and I'm gonna open that. I'll come back to that in just a minute. And there was some more, but I'm gonna start with this one. This is one that I found a little bit further down the page that I really like because I've done some work with sleep in the past. And so let's take a look at this. Sleep deprivation in college students. First of all, medical news today through Student Health Center. I'm assuming that this is probably pretty reasonable. That the way that this was collected was probably a quality sample, but we really don't know. We really don't know. We don't know how many people were sampled. We don't know where they were sampled. We know nothing about this except for the stats that are right in front of us. And so you have some stats that are in front of you that the average night owl has a 2.65 GPA, while the average early bird has a 3.05 GPA. Well, I was a night owl, but I was also an early bird. I don't know where I fall, but that's definitely not representative of me. So the question is what is this that we're even looking at? What it is that we're looking at is they give us a mean, but that's it. They don't tell us how much variability there is around that mean. They don't tell us the sample size. And let's take a look at how accurate this actually is. Like, they say it's 2.65, and you almost assume that the way that they're saying this to you is that 100% true. This is 100% true that 2.65%, that individuals who are night owls will get a GPA of 2.65, and that's just straight up a lie. And so I'm gonna call them out and I'm gonna say, hey, you're lying. So I'm going to show you really quick let's see here. So if their GPA is 2.65, so we've got a 2.65 GPA. Say for instance they surveyed 100 people. Okay, so we've got a number. We're going to put 100 people. So say they surveyed 100 people, and we don't really know the standard deviation. So we're going to do this equals t dot inverse the probability. We're going to put 0.05 for 95%, and then the degrees of freedom. We'll get to this a little bit later, but 99. Okay. And then let's see what comes next. We're going to calculate the standard error. And so we're going to take the we don't know what the standard deviation is. So let's just guess, I guess. So let's come here and we'll say maybe the standard deviation is I don't know, 0.3, because there's some night owls that are going to get, that 4.0. And so, yeah, 0.3, maybe 0.35 probably sounds about right. And so what we're going to do is equals 0.35 divided by the square root of n. And so we've got the standard error, and now we are going to do equals this multiplied by the standard error. And so that's going to give us this 2.65 minus, I'm sorry, yeah, minus or plus this and then equals 2.65 minus this. Okay, so what this is saying right here is, theoretically, I mean, I'm just throwing all this out there. And so, say for instance something changes and the standard deviation is 0.4, everything changes. But theoretically, we are 95% confident that the actual population of night owls, that their GPA is between these two values right here. That's if there was 100 people. That's if the standard deviation was this. Possibly, they might have only surveyed 50 people. And if they only surveyed 50 people, then this is going to be 49. And so then everything changes. But without more information, we just have absolutely no clue how to interpret this. And then it says more than 60% of college students have disturbed sleep-wake patterns. Once again, we can take a proportion, and if we know the sample size, if we know the standard deviation, if we know all of these different things, then we're going to be able to give you a lot more information about what's here. But as this sits, they just give you all this blanket information and assume that it's true. Here's another example. We've got 80% of college students admit to, they didn't even spell students correctly. Students admit to cheating once. At least they spelled students correctly here. So I guess they didn't know how to copy and paste. 40% of college students admitted to cheating on a written assignment. 12% of college students admit to cheating regularly. Once again, no clue what the sample size is, but this could be 40%. That could be the actual average of the proportion of people that are cheating. It could be 30. It could be 20. We have no clue because we know nothing about the people that were sampled. And yeah, it's someone from Zoo Media. Yeah, they probably went out and asked like 5 random guys, and they're like, ooh, well, to say that there's 12%, there's got to be at least, what, like 20 people that they surveyed? This right here, same thing, except this is probably a lot more reputable, but still, it doesn't even tell us, you know, who was surveyed. Maybe they have everyone that was surveyed because this might actually be population data, now that I'm thinking about it. But it still doesn't mean that it's accurate. For instance, you know, NCAA, they're the people who are publishing this. Are they considering red shirts? Because if you're considering redshirted freshmen, I promise you that it would be different. It would be a completely different chart if you were not including redshirted freshmen. You should look at a chart that specifically says what is the probability of a red shirted freshman graduating as compared to an average student. And so that would definitely be a very different chart. So, you know, context is everything. Same thing here, no context at all. It just says, this is the average, this is the average. We don't know how wide it is, the average debt for university students within a 15-year period. Within a 15-year period. So, do you know the inflation rate of the dollar over that 15-year period? I mean, that changes everything. And then also, where are they pulling this information from? Are they pulling it from the East or the West Coast? Are they doing a national sample? You know, are they pulling it from a Midwest source? Is it private institutions, public institutions? We just don't know anything about it. They just give us a blanket number. This is the average. They don't tell us how many people they surveyed. So we have no clue what to actually believe. Same thing with this, 4 out of 10 people. Did they literally just ask 10 people? The average age, they literally could have just asked 10 people, and they could have put that on here. They don't have to cite anything. There's no, well, they did cite something, ada.org. But all this information, 22 is the average age when persons first experience anxiety. Yeah, I don't believe that. Based on some wonderful stats that I have as an educational psychologist, I'm going to tell you that it's definitely before that. Um, if you look at anxiety stats, national anxiety stats, it's one of the most prevalent health issues, mental health issues in the United States, and specifically also in Canada as well, between anxiety and depression. And it's definitely before the age of 22. So, how are they sampling these people? You've got this mean. How many people did they sample? How spread out is the data? What is all the information that's actually going to allow us to know how accurate this is? So you're probably thinking to me, hey, you're just on a kick. You're just reading through all of this. You found the worst of the worst statistics. And I literally just scrolled through, and all of this stuff is just out there with no context. But let's give a little context, okay? Let's look at, let's see here. This is from Real Clear Politics. We've got all of this wonderful polling information data. Here are all the different polls that are looking at Biden and Trump with the presidential election. So we've got Biden right here and Trump right here, and we've got the proportion of the the United States who say that they're going to vote for them. Now, what they did is they took a sample, and you'll see this sample right here. This is a lot better information. From this sample, we're able to see, okay, there's 863 individuals. I don't know what LV versus RV is. Um, yeah, I'm sure that there's a context for that someplace. But 863 people, 965 people, 1,051 people, so on and so forth, all the way down. Okay. And so they have this sample, and then they have this thing right here. It says MOE, or margin of error. Margin of error. So what this says is, hey, we are predicting that Biden is going to win by 1. Okay, the proportion that Biden is over Trump, that he's got a proportion of the United States. He's got 1% of the 1% of the United States above Trump, but the margin of error is 3.3. In other words, we have Biden above by 1, but we could be off, give or take 3.3 percentage points. Same thing here. We've got Trump up by 2, but we could be off by 2.9, give or up or down the proportion up or down. So all of these, almost all of these, the margin of error is actually greater than the spread. And when the margin of error is greater than the spread, what that really means is there is no conclusive evidence. No conclusive evidence at all. You've got the two of these proportions, and you've got the margin of error. And if the margin of error is greater than the spread, then there's no conclusive evidence at all. And so, who has conclusive evidence? Quinnipiac. I don't even know who Quinnipiac is, but I guess Quinnipiac has conclusive evidence. Let's see, who else has conclusive evidence? Coming down here, Gravis. No clue who Gravis is. Biden. Let's see. Yeah, once again, Quinnipiac. Tip. Let's see here. UNF has some conclusive evidence. And once again, Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac over and over again. I really want to look at Quinnipiac. So yeah, Quinnipiac University, and so this looks like some sort of Canadian. I might be wrong, but I'm really, let's see, Republican, Democrat. So this gives you a little bit more information about who they sampled, and then what you really want to do is say, okay, are the individuals who they sampled, are they actually reflective of the entire population? Which we'll get into that in the next unit. But I went through all of this one by one, and of all of these, there are roughly 20 that have some kind of conclusive evidence. Let's see, I'll actually pull up the worksheet that I did. Let's see here. Okay, so I've got all of these, and let's see here. There are some, which these are probably all Quinnipiac, um, but these are the ones that. Oh no, sorry, that's the other way. Um, these ones basically have a are where the spread is greater than the margin of error. These are the ones where the spread is greater than the margin of error. There's three of them where the spread is greater than the margin of error by zero point 0.2 points. There's one by zero point 0.3 points, one by zero point 0.8 points, and so the rest of these, which these right here are, the Quinnipiac ones. So the rest of these have a spread by anywhere between 1 to 5. So let's see, equals sum. I'm getting rid of Quinnipiac because I don't trust Quinnipiac as far as I can throw them. So there's 13 out of 65 that have some sort of conclusive numbers. 13 out of 65 that have some sort of conclusive numbers saying that that there is going to be a clear winner. And so all that to be said, if anyone ever wonders why are these polls not more accurate, why can we not trust these, or why was there such a discrepancy in the last election? The reason why is because this margin of error, these polls, what they're polling, they're definitely doing their best to get the best samples possible. But when you're only surveying 2,000 people or 1,000 people or 700 people, you're going to have that margin of error where it's like, hey, we believe this to be true, but it could be wrong. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're seeing, okay, what is the proportion and how confident am I that I'm correct? How confident am I that I'm correct? And so I might be 99% confident, I might be 95% confident, I might be 90% confident that I'm correct. And when I say how confident I am, I also say, okay, I'm this much confident, and I've got this margin of error that, hey, the actual population mean. So I might come in here and I say the actual population mean is 3.05, give or take this. Which I promise you this sample is not at Baylor, because if you have a 3.05 at Baylor, can you even make it into the business school with a 3.05? I'm not even sure. And so, there's different schools that, this is including community college, this is including a lot of different things. And so these samples that they've got, if you provide more context about the sample size and about the standard deviation, then, and also where the sample's coming from, then you're going to be able to say, hey, I'm this much percent confident that this sample is, or that this mean is correct with this margin of error. And when you have the ability to speak like that, people are going to trust what you say. They're going to be able to say, okay, we understand that you know what you're talking about, that you know that you might be off a little bit, but you're 95% confident that you're correct. You're 95% confident that it's actually in this range. And that's what we're doing right now. And so hopefully this was a beneficial little diatribe for you, and that it helps you to understand everything a little bit more and how important this whole topic is.